Hello, everyone, for our second session in the Digital Classicist seminar here in Berlin. Hello, everyone, also in the Zoom room. I would like to introduce our speaker to you. We have the honor to have Julio Ruiz. I'm muted or no? Okay. We have the honor to have Julio Ruiz here, and he has studied his bachelor study. He did at the University of Castilla-La Mancha from 2010 to 2014, and then went to the University of Tarragona, where he did his MA studies in classical archaeology. After that, he started a PhD study also at Tarragona, and he wrote his PhD also about Tarragona, about the statues or the freestanding sculptures in Tarragona, and lots of publications stem from this work. He has written over 20 articles, I've counted them, about different aspects of statues, sculptures in Spain, with a special focus on Tarragona. During his PhD studies, he was already assistant professor for archaeology at Tarragona, and after giving also some distant courses, he was employed in a Marie Curie fellowship, a very important fellowship of the EU, at Bonn for 5 months with the project Living with Art, about domestic decorative sculpture. And I think probably his presentation today will be also about this project. But now and we have to congratulate him, he has a position as assistant professor in Madrid. So, Julio, if you want to, you have the word.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, guten Abend, everyone. I would like to thank the organizers of the Digital Classicist seminar in Berlin for the opportunity to take part in this important scientific event in such an inspiring setting as the Staatliche Bibliothek of Berlin. In recent years, the field of classical archaeology has witnessed an extraordinary transformation through the adoption of three-dimensional and virtual reality technologies. The increasing accessibility of digital tools has revolutionized not only how we document and study ancient sculpture, but also how we preserve, interpret, and communicate it to the diverse audiences. What was once the exclusive domain of specialized laboratories has gradually become an essential component of archaeological research and museum practice. The application of three-dimensional digitization technologies in the field of cultural heritage has become increasingly common and has experienced remarkable growth over the past decades. This kind of technological tool has represented a true revolution in the documentation, study, and publication of archaeological artifacts and works of art. It allows for more accurate reconstructions and deeper analysis, and it has also significantly improved the restitution and understanding of the original appearance of objects that, due to the vicissitudes they have suffered, are often preserved in an incomplete state. Consequently, 3D digitization is now conceived as an innovative solution, not only for heritage preservation, but also for its interpretation and accessibility, both for the scholarly community and the wider public. The incorporation of 3D technologies into archaeological and art historical practice has redefined how researchers perceive and engage with ancient artifacts. It offers, at the same time, precision in data collection, flexibility in interpretation, and accessibility for dissemination. The benefits of 3D digitization go far beyond the purely technical. They allow us to re-examine the material and aesthetic aspects of ancient sculpture from new perspectives, bringing together researchers, curators, and digital technologies in a collaborative environment. Through high-resolution scanning, photogrammetry, and structured light recording, scholars can now capture the geometry, texture, and even the subtle tool marks of sculptures with millimetric or even submillimetric precision. These digital models not only serve as faithful records of the current state of preservation, but also as analytical tools for exploring the techniques of ancient sculptures, their materials, and workshop practices. A telling example of this paradigm shift is the Global Digital Heritage Project, which employs advanced photogrammetric and scanning technologies to document archaeological and artistic heritage across continents. Within this initiative, the goal is not simply to produce beautiful models, but to build interoperable digital archives that allow cross-disciplinary research and long-term preservation of data. This model demonstrates the global potential of 3D documentation to generate collaborative research networks that transcend geographical boundaries. 3D digitization also redefines the relationship between scholars and the public. Once sculptures are digitized, they can be visualized, manipulated, and even reconstructed in ways that were unthinkable a generation ago. A digital model allows for interactive visualization, rescaling, and cross-comparison, tools that fundamentally change both the teaching and the communication of ancient art. This democratization of access means that researchers from institutions with limited resources can now engage in the same analytical processes as major museums or universities. As a result, there is now a substantial and ever-growing body of specialized literature devoted to the methodologies, applications, and challenges of digital documentation of ancient art. The most important step forward today lies not only in the technical accuracy of the models, but also in the creation of shared standards and interoperable workflows, allowing different projects to communicate, compare, and share their data efficiently. In this context, the objective of the talk of today is to highlight the potential and relevance of 3D and VR technologies in the scientific study and conservation of Greco-Roman sculpture. My goal is to present a synthesis of current approaches to 3D digitization, drawing on my own experience, as well as on the findings of a broad range of international projects. I will address the most efficient and widely used methodologies, explore innovative applications for the analysis and restoration of sculptural works, and consider their implications for museology and heritage interpretation. At the same time, it is crucial to recognize that 3D digitization is not merely a technical process, but a new epistemological framework. It invites us to rethink what we mean by authenticity, original, or even materiality in the study of ancient art. As researchers such as Münster et al. Have argued, the rise of 3D reconstruction techniques has initiated a cultural shift within art history and archaeology, where the virtual model is not a substitute, but an extension of the object, a new form of evidence that can be interrogated, compared, and shared. In short, 3D and VR technologies provide us with an unprecedented capacity to record, analyze, and communicate the visual and material culture of the ancient world. Yet they also confront us with ethical, methodological, and logistical challenges that require critical reflection. How do we ensure data accuracy and sustainability? How do we preserve the context of an object when it is transposed into a virtual environment? And how do we make these tools accessible and meaningful both to specialists and the public? To explore these questions, the presentation will proceed in three main parts. First, I will outline the main methods and techniques used for the 3D digitization of classical sculpture, from laser scanning to photogrammetry and structured light. Next, I will turn to the application of these techniques in research, conservation, and museology, drawing on concrete examples that illustrate both their potential and their limitations. And finally, I will conclude by addressing the current challenges and future perspectives for integrating 3D technologies into the study and preservation of classical sculpture. The three-dimensional digitization of Greco-Roman sculpture has been carried out through a variety of technologies and methodological approaches, each with its own strengths, limitations, and challenges. Among the most widely used and effective are laser scanning, digital photogrammetry, and structured light systems. Though in recent years, researchers have also begun to combine these techniques in hybrid workflows. The main goal of these technologies is to capture, with the highest possible precision, the geometry and surface texture of sculptural works, from their overall morphology to the most minute details, such as tool marks, chisel strokes, or traces of pigment. This allows scholars to document the current state of preservation and at the same time to reconstruct aspects of the sculpture's original appearance and production techniques. One of the earliest and still most reliable technologies used in the documentation of classical sculpture is laser scanning, due to its capacity to achieve high levels of geometric precision and to capture complex surface details. This technique relies on emitting laser beams that measure the distance between the scanner and the object's surface, producing a dense three-dimensional point cloud. From this cloud, a highly accurate mesh can be generated, reproducing the sculpture's exact morphology with errors often below 1 millimeter. Laser scanning has been successfully applied to a wide range of classical artifacts, from small portraits to monumental statues. One notable example is the Aeneas group from Augusta Emerita, present-day Merida, a Roman sculptural ensemble discovered in fragments and reconstructed digitally through the use of high-precision laser scanners. This project not only allowed for the virtual restitution of the group, representing Aeneas, Anchises, and Ascanius, but also enabled curators to study the individual breaks and joints, suggesting how the composition may originally have been displayed in the forum of the Roman city. The project became a model for how digital tools could bridge archaeological documentation and historical interpretation. Laser scanning, however, comes with certain constraints. The equipment is expensive, often requiring controlled lighting conditions and considerably processing power. The resulting datasets are massive, frequently several gigabytes per sculpture, and demand sophisticated software for cleaning and alignment. For this reason, researchers often combine laser scanning with other techniques to achieve an optimal balance between precision, cost, and efficiency. So this is the Aeneas and Anchises group. In recent years, digital photogrammetry has emerged as the most accessible and widely used method for 3D documentation in archaeology and art history. This technique reconstructs a three-dimensional model from a series of overlapping digital photographs taken from different angles. Through computational algorithms, algorithms, these images are processed to derive spatial information and generate a detailed 3D mesh. Photogrammetry's main advantage lies in its flexibility and relatively low cost. It can be performed using standard digital cameras or even high-resolution smartphone cameras, making it possible for small institutions, individual researchers, and students to engage directly in 3D documentation. This democratization of access has been crucial for classical art and archaeology, allowing many sculptures previously documented only through drawings or traditional photography to be modeled in 3D dimensions for the first time. The project Princeps Resurgens, conducted at the Roman town of Los Bañales, un castillo in the province of Zaragoza, provides an excellent case in point. Using photogrammetry, a team by Makeda and colleagues produced a detailed 3D model of a Quiras statue, a representation of the Emperor Domitian, found in the ancient town's forum. The resulting model not only documented the statue's current condition, but also served as a basis for iconographic and stylistic analysis, particularly regarding the relief decoration on the cuirass. By comparing the digital model with parallels from other provinces, the researchers were able to refine the statue's chronological and stylistic attribution within the broader context of earlier imperial statuary. Photogrammetry has thus proven invaluable not only for documentation but also for comparative analysis. It enables scholars to juxtapose sculptures from different collections and even different countries in a common digital environment, thereby overcoming the physical limitations of museum storage and display. However, photogrammetry does have its limits. While it can capture surface detail with remarkable precision, it depends heavily on lighting conditions, surface reflectivity, and photographic quality. In certain cases, laser scanning remains superior for reproducing intricate textures or deep reliefs. Nevertheless, hybrid methods combining the geometric precision of laser scanning with the color accuracy of photogrammetry often yield the most complete and accurate results. A further technological advancement is represented by structured light scanning, which operates by projecting a sequence of light patterns onto the surface of an object and analyzing the distortion of these patterns through cameras. This approach allows for extremely precise measurement of shape and texture while reducing acquisition time. Structured light scanners are particularly effective for medium-sized sculptures and complex surfaces, offering an alternative to both photogrammetry and laser scanning. Perhaps the most ambitious implementation of this method can be seen in the Indiana University Uffizi project. It's a massive initiative carried out in collaboration with the Galleria degli Uffizi in Florence, aimed to digitally record the museum's entire collection of classical sculptures, over 1,200 works. The project combined structured light scanning, laser scanning, and photogrammetry to achieve metrological accuracy while managing efficiency. The resulting digital archive constitutes one of the most comprehensive 3D repositories of ancient sculpture in the world, providing an unprecedented resource for scholars and curators alike. However, as the responsibles, Guidi and Malik, emphasized, the project also revealed several critical issues. The immense size of the datasets, the need for robust metadata standards, and the importance of maintaining consistent workflows across different teams. Such challenges highlight that 3D digitization is as much about data management as it is about technological precision. On a more regional level, similar projects have demonstrated how these technologies can contribute to the study and preservation of Roman sculpture across the provinces. The work of the interdisciplinary team at the National Museum of Roman Art in Merida, particularly the studies of the Aeneas Group and other marble sculptures from Augusta Emerita, has shown how 3D documentation can support both research and public engagement. The combination of photogrammetry and scanning has made it possible to visualize hypothetical reconstructions such as how these sculptures might have appeared in the forum's architectural setting. Comparable initiatives have been carried out in the context of the National Archaeological Museum of Tarragona, where 3D digitization has been used to record fragmentary sculptures and architectural reliefs as part of broader conservation and museological efforts. These models not only assist in restoration planning, but also have served as interactive elements for exhibition design and digital storytelling. Finally, one of the major methodological concerns across all these projects is the standardization, as highlighted by several scholars, such as Harfs and Mans, Remy, and Fornaro. The absence of consistent protocols in data acquisition and processing can undermine the scientific value of 3D documentation. Each institution tends to develop its own workflow, but without shared standards for metadata, measurement accuracy, and file formats, it becomes difficult to ensure interoperability and long-term accessibility. Recent efforts, particularly within the European Eureka 3D network, have sought to define best practices for data capture, processing, and archiving. The aim is not only to guarantee scientific reproducibility, but also to facilitate collaboration between institutions so that a sculpture digitized in Florence will able to be compared seamlessly with another in Merida, Rome, or London. In summary, the technical landscape of 3D digitization has evolved from isolated experiments to a mature and collaborative discipline. Laser scanning, photogrammetry, and structured light each contribute complementary advantages. Together, they allow researchers to document, analyze, and interpret classical sculpture in ways that were once unimaginable. Yet, as we will see next, the greatest impact of these technologies lies not in the capture of data itself, but in their application, in how these digital models transform our understanding of ancient art, its materiality, and its reception. The application of three-dimensional digitization in the study of and conservation of classical sculpture has profoundly transformed how scholars approach material evidence from the ancient world. By merging precise digital documentation with advanced visualization and analytical tools, researchers can now explore questions of iconography, style, materiality, and even ancient craftsmanship with an unprecedented level of accuracy. Three-dimensional models offer a powerful platform for iconographic and stylistic analysis. By providing measurable, rotatable, and infinitely reproducible replicas of ancient works, they enable detailed comparisons across large geographical areas. A striking example is the recent study by Calomino et al., which combined 3D data of sculptural portraits and coinage to reassess the representations of the Emperor Hadrian in Roman Britain. By aligning the digital models of coins and statues, the researchers were able to identify subtle iconographic variations, such as bird texture and hairstyle arrangements that reveal local adaptations of the emperor's image. Such work would have been virtually impossible using only photographs or traditional casts, demonstrating the analytical potential of 3D visualization for Roman portrait studies. Another major contribution of 3D digitization lies in the analysis of materials and polychromy. Classical sculpture was rarely monochrome. Pigments, gilding, and inlays once adorned the surfaces of marble and bronze works. Integrating 3D data with physicochemical analysis allows for a holistic understanding of these lost color schemes. For instance, Dominguez et al. Proposed a method to assign color information directly onto digital models, generating reconstructions that visualize the ancient monument's original appearance without physically altering them. Similarly, McCarthy et al. Have developed open workflows for the polychromatic reconstruction of historical monuments and sculptures, where spectral data are projected onto 3D meshes to produce scientifically grounded yet visually engaging renderings of color. A noteworthy case in this regard is the study of the imperial statues from Torre Paredones, a Roman city in the Spanish province in Córdoba. Ventura and Fernandez applies digital documentation techniques to analyze pigment residues and the surfaces of two-seated statues representing members of the imperial family. The integration of 3D modeling and microscopic pigment analysis made it possible to reconstruct the color scheme of these figures, shedding new light on the role of polychromy on imperial propaganda. A still underdeveloped approach involves a more detailed examination of the material itself, aimed at archaeometric studies for the characterization and identification of raw materials, particularly useful in the case of stone materials. Thus, the possibilities of 3D documentation would extend also to archaeometric and petrological studies, which focus on identifying the origin and composition of the sculptural materials. In this context, 3-dimensional digitation could serve as a guide for macroscopic characterization, allowing the observation of material color, the presence of additional features and possible alterations, and even grain size, among other attributes. The combination of the digital models and laboratory analysis could assist in the classification of scattered marble fragments. 3D visualization could facilitate the matching of fragment morphology and grain patterns, enabling the reassembly, virtually or physically, of statues that were previously impossible to reconstruct. This line of research has major implications for provenance studies and for the reconstruction of ancient sculptural groups, where traditional conjoining methods are often limited by the physical condition of the fragments. Equally important is the use of 3D modeling in virtual restoration and reconstruction. This approach preserves the integrity of the original while allowing researchers to test restoration hypotheses without any physical intervention. The pioneering work of Adan, Salamanca, and Merchant introduced a hybrid human-computer system capable of automatically suggesting the best possible fit for missing fragments in incomplete sculptures. The results demonstrated that machine learning and algorithmic modeling could complement archaeological intuition, leading to more objective restoration proposals. A particularly illustrative example is the digital reconstruction of statues from the Sanctuary of Isis in Lillybone, carried out by Faccio et al. The authors combined photogrammetric models with archival photographs and archaeological data to virtually reassemble the statues of Aesculapius and Aegea. Their method not only enhanced the visual appreciation of the works, but also informed the physical restoration process, ensuring that any intervention was fully reversible and documented. Similarly, Manfredini et al. Have used 3D scanning to virtually restore a portrait statue of Nero subjected to damnatio memoriae, where several parts, mainly the head, were intentionally erased or mutilated. Through digital reconstruction, the team could visualize the original appearance of the sculpture while maintaining the historical record of their defacement, offering an ethical balance between conservation and interpretation. Finally, 3D printing has emerged as a valuable complement to digital restoration. As shown by Merchant et al., replicas fabricated through additive manufacturing can serve both research and educational purposes. These physical copies, derived from precise digital models, allow for handling, testing, and exhibition without risk to the originals. The approach promotes accessibility and resilience, reinforcing the social and cultural role of heritage in contemporary contexts. The second major area of application of 3D technologies concerns heritage dissemination and museology. The rise of virtual and augmented reality has revolutionized the ways in which classical sculpture is presented to the public, allowing visitors to experience ancient art in immersive, interactive environments. A seminal example is the Virtual Museum of Sculpture created by Carroccino et al., which enables users to explore high-quality digital models of modern sculptures within an interactive virtual environment. The system was designed to promote public engagement and education while maintaining a rigorous scientific foundation. Models like this has inspired numerous virtual exhibitions where curators integrate digital reconstructions with narrative content, creating multisensory experiences that blend scholarship and accessibility. In the context of Roman archaeology, projects such as the virtual reconstruction of the Forum Adjectum of Augusta Emerita demonstrate how 3D modeling can reanimate archaeological spaces. Through virtual reality, visitors can deeply walk through the ancient forum, viewing the statues of gods, heroes, and emperors as they once appeared in their architectural context. This immersive reconstruction not only enhances public appreciation, but also provides researchers with a laboratory for testing hypotheses about spatial arrangement, lighting, and viewer perception. Such virtual contexts are not mere visualizations, but critical interpretative tools that reveal how Roman sculpture functioned within its original settings. By embedding digital models into reconstructions of temples, fora, or domestic spaces, scholars can analyze questions of scale, sightlines, and symbolic meaning that are otherwise inaccessible when statues are displayed in modern museum environments. The democratization of 3D documentation also facilitates new forms of open access and digital participation. Platforms developed with initiatives such as Global Digital Heritage have made high-resolution models of ancient artifacts freely available online, enabling scholars, students, and the general public to interact with them across the globe. This shift aligns with broader trends in open science and public humanities, promoting a more inclusive approach to cultural heritage. Moreover, 3D digitization enhances museum pedagogy. Digital replicas can be integrated into touchscreen displays, holographic projections, or augmented reality apps that allow visitors to visualize status in their original colors or reconstruct missing parts. In many cases, these tools have proved particularly effective for audiences with visual impairments, as tactile 3D prints offer new possibilities for accessibility and engagement. In some, 3D technologies are reshaping both scholarship and museology. They enable a dual process of preservation and reinterpretation, ensuring that ancient sculpture remains not only protected, but also actively recontextualized for future generations. Despite the extraordinary progress made over the past 2 decades, the full integration of 3D technologies into the study, conservation, and dissemination of classical sculpture still faces significant challenges. These concern not only technical and logistical aspects, but also conceptual and methodological ones. One of the most pressing issues is the lack of standardized protocols for data acquisition, processing, and storage. The field needs shared criteria that guarantee the interoperability of datasets among institutions. At present, many objects and many projects use different file formats, metadata conventions, and levels of documentation, which makes it difficult to compare or integrate results. This lack of uniformity limits the long-term sustainability of 3D archives and impedes collaboration between museums, universities, and research centers. In response, several initiatives have started to propose structured workflows. For example, Manz, Raimi, and Fornaro have outlined a recommended 3D workflow for digital heritage practices, addressing each stage from scanning to publication and emphasizing transparency, reproducibility, and accessibility. The adoption of such standardized pipelines could greatly enhance the reliability and usability of 3D data across the cultural heritage sector. Closely related to the issue of standards is the challenge of data management. High-resolution scanning generates massive datasets, sometimes hundreds of gigabytes for a single statue, that require advanced storage and processing infrastructures. As demonstrated by the Indiana University Uffizi project, digitizing large sculptural collections involves not only capturing accurate geometry, but also developing robust metrological controls and efficient data workflows. Malik and Guidi later refined this approach, proposing a hybrid system that balances quality and efficiency in large-scale digitization campaigns. These experiences show that the technical success of 3D projects depends much on workflow optimization as on the scanning technology itself. Another major obstacle concerns cost and sustainability. Although the technologies such as digital photogrammetry have significantly reduced expenses, high-precision scanning remains costly in terms of both equipment and expertise. Many museums, particularly smaller regional institutions, lack the financial and human resources to implement these methods systematically. For this reason, long-term sustainability requires not only external funding, but also capacity building initiatives that empower local teams to carry out their own documentation. Encouragingly, technological advances are gradually lowering these barriers. The increasing use of smartphone-based photogrammetry now allows scholars and curators to produce accurate models with minimal equipment, opening new possibilities for democratizing access to 3D documentation. Beyond economic and technical issues, there are also ethical and interpretative challenges. Virtual reconstructions, especially when they propose hypothetical restorations or color schemes, must remain transparent about the degree of speculation. As Münster, Friedrichs, and Hegel argue, 3D reconstruction is not merely a technical task, but a cultural shift in how art history constructs and communicates knowledge. Digital models should always be accompanied by metadata that document the assumptions, data sources, and interpretive choices behind them, ensuring that they can be critically assessed by future researchers. There is also the matter of long-term preservation. Unlike traditional photographs or casts, digital files are highly dependent on changing software, hardware, and storage infrastructures. The risk of data loss, obsolescence, or incompatibility is real. Sustainable archiving strategies must therefore be developed in parallel with digitization efforts, following the FAIR principles, ensuring that data are findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. Despite these challenges, it is clear that 3D digitization represents a profound paradigm shift in the study of classical sculpture. It allows scholars to move beyond static observation and engage with the material dynamically, testing hypotheses, reconstructing ancient contexts, and sharing results openly with a global audience. The benefits extend far beyond academia. These technologies foster new relationships between research, conservation, and public engagement, offering a powerful tool for both scientific inquiry and cultural dissemination. As several scholars have observed, the real potential of digital heritage lies not only in producing visually impressive models, but in using them to answer substantive research questions about artistic production, workshop practices, material provenance, and the reception of classical art. The ongoing convergence between archaeometry, digital humanities, and museum studies promises to redefine our understanding of ancient sculpture as a living, evolving field of study rather than a static collection of artifacts. Looking to the future, the integration of machine learning and artificial intelligence will likely play an increasing role in automating classification, restoration, and stylistic analysis. Early experiments, such as those by Adan et al. In reconstructing incomplete artifacts, already point to how hybrid human-computer systems could accelerate discoveries while maintaining scholarly oversight. Similarly, multimodal datasets combining 3D geometry, chemical analysis, and historical documentation will enrich our capacity to reconstruct the biographies of sculptures from quarry to workshop to display and rediscovery. Ultimately, three-dimensional digitization offers more than a technological upgrade. It is a new epistemology for the study of ancient art. It encourages transparency, interdisciplinarity, and collaboration, blurring traditional boundaries between the physical and the virtual, the scholarly, and the public. To conclude, we can affirm that 3D digitization has already transformed the ways in which we study, preserve, and communicate classical sculpture. It provides tools that bridge the past and the present, capturing the tangible legacy of antiquity while opening new avenues for its interpretation and appreciation. Yet, to fully realize its potential, we must continue to refine our methodologies, infrastructures, and ethical frameworks, ensuring that this technological revolution remains sustainable, inclusive, and intellectually rigorous. If properly harnessed, the 3D technologies will not only preserve the masterpieces of ancient art for future generations, but also deepen our understanding of the creative processes, cultural values, and human experiences they embody. And that's all. Thank you very much for your attention.